There's more to being a Buffalo Bills fan than breaking tables. Welcome to the More Than Breaking Tables podcast, a show about what really makes up the greatest fan base in the NFL. We're talking football with experts and fans from around the country. Here's your host and proud member of Bills Mafia, Connor Kobus.
Hello and welcome to a special bi-week edition episode of More Than Breaking Tables. Connor Kobus, your host, as always joined by my partner, Pasquale Maggiore. And we have a fan of the show and special guest on today's episode, TJ Schratz. TJ, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, fellas. Appreciate it.
Guys, it was a weekend without Bills football. Some people decided to get away from the game, focus on other things. Other people who love the NFL are still glued to the TV watching teams from around the league. Bye week has been crucial to the Bills. McDermott's undefeated coming off a bye. However, I was scrolling through Twitter, a lot of Bills fans doubling down on the two-game losing streak we're on, just putting negative vibes into the air. Coming off a bye, we have Carolina this week. Andy Dalton, a familiar friend of Bills Mafia, for helping end the drought. How do you guys feel with 2 weeks to prepare for a Carolina team?
Let's slow down a little bit. What did we all watch on Sunday when we didn't have a Bills game to watch?
Football.
What specific football did we watch?
The NFL.
Can we talk about a specific game, or are we just going to?
I mean, the game everyone's talking about is the Giants and Broncos.
Yeah, I didn't get that game. For me, living in Niagara County, I don't know if it's different than you Erie County folk. We had the Cowboys and the Commandos, and then the early game was the Eagles and the Vikings, and I watched the AFC game, most of it, I should say, on Paramount Plus, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, that was a dud. I mean, that nobody, I think, expected the Raiders to have a shot to beat Kansas City, even though it's a division matchup. But that, right from the get-go, I mean, Rashee Rice just proved to show how important he is for the Kansas City offense, and that was a smoke show, just a complete runaway right off the bat. I mean, so that was something I turned the channel right away. But,
Connor, what about you? What'd you have on your television on Sunday?
Yeah, I had Red Zone going from 1 to 4, and then I tuned in to the end of the Broncos-Giants game, which was wild. The Giants looked in control of that, up 19-0. Denver scores 33 in the fourth. Some coaching blunders by Dable, but definitely an exciting game. Schratz, you're talking about the Chiefs blowing out the Raiders. They had over 70 offensive plays, 31 first downs. It was a clinic, and even though they're currently not in the playoffs right now, a lot of people have them as number one in the power rankings.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I'd say, yeah. I mean, you look at their offense now, and they're starting to get the form. I hate to say that, but, I mean, they're starting to look like the Kansas City Chiefs of previous years, and it's not really a good thing. You know, they got a tough matchup coming up against Washington on Monday night. Now the question is for that, is Jaden Daniels going to play? But I think going back to Sunday and the bye week games, I mean, I think the one thing that was on my mind, and maybe, Pasquale, maybe you can touch on this as well, and Connor, you too, but watching Denver Giants, you can make the argument, do you want the Giants to beat the Denver Broncos for, like, seeding? Do you want maybe the Broncos to win and maybe try and distance themselves away from the Chiefs? I mean, that's kind of a toss-up, I guess. This is what I was watching the game on Sunday, and just some thoughts I had going into Monday morning.
I think for Bills fans, we want anyone but the Chiefs winning the division. So we want to root for the Broncos and Chargers. If the Chiefs are a wild card team, they have to play the entire playoffs on the road. Yes, can they win a road game? They've done it, but let's make it as difficult as possible. So, yeah, I'm rooting for the Broncos and Chargers every week.
Yeah, and if we're talking about seeding, let's go all the way back to Thursday night, a very entertaining Thursday night football game. I had to tap out and go to bed early, and I'm sad that I did that because seeing the end result, a shootout to the very end between the Steelers and the Bengals, Joe Flacco, people are giving him so much credit, but I think if an average quarterback has T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, they can do their thing. People are making a big deal about Flacco, so we'll see if it's going to be Flacco coming to Buffalo or if Joe Burrow will be back in time. But, you know, that game all of a sudden has added meaning to it with the Bengals getting that victory. Aaron Rodgers looking good at age 41. Got to give him the credit. I don't know if you guys saw the video of his offensive lineman jumping on top of him and him freaking out I was going to swear, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to do that. But I don't blame him for doing that. You know, people want to paint Aaron Rodgers as the villain, as the bad guy. But hey, the guy's 41 years old. He's remained relatively healthy. The last thing you want is someone over 300 pounds jumping on your back.
Yeah, no, I'm on your side with that. I'm on Aaron Rodgers' side. He tore his Achilles 2 years ago, so freak accidents happen. It was probably an accident from the lineman, but you just don't touch the quarterback. Off limits.
Correct.
No.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
My reservations about the Steelers, Mike Tomlin every year 10-7, 9-8. I mean, the teams they played in the beginning of the year, you can say that for the Bills and who they played in the beginning of the first 4 weeks before they go on their 2-game losing streak. So, to me, I'm not ready to pronounce Aaron Rodgers as a good quarterback this year yet or anything like that. He's got the weapons around him. I understand that, but still, I'm in wait and see mode with Pittsburgh. Every year it's the same stuff with them too. When you talk about that division, who knows what the Ravens are going to do? They're 1-5, and I mean, if Lamar comes back and they go on a little bit of a win streak, I mean, that division is just a complete dumpster fire in my opinion. The AFC North.
Yeah, and TJ, you and I go back a long way, so you know that I am a huge radio nerd. I listen to WFAN every morning because they can actually talk about baseball, but I also do like to check in with Mark Madden down in Pittsburgh. He's been on the anti-Mike Tomlin bandwagon for quite a long time. I didn't get a chance to listen to his program on Friday morning to see what he said about that, but I can only imagine. But yeah, I mean, it's almost like, I don't want to go here yet. I'm not going to do this. But Mike Tomlin, even keel. The Pittsburgh Steelers, even keel. They don't get too high. They don't get too low, and they make it to the playoffs, and they lose. So a lot can be talked about there when it comes to the Buffalo Bills, but I'll let the host of the show transition over to that.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about real quick the AFC North with Flacco being on the Bengals, trying to keep the Bengals afloat till Burrow comes back healthy. Pittsburgh probably needed to win that game to kind of take a stranglehold atop that division. But now with Lamar coming back, the Ravens still have to play the Steelers twice. Betting odds, they're still like, you can get the Ravens at plus 150, plus 200 to come back and win the division. A lot of season left. I think that's what everybody needs to realize as we are in the bye week going into week 7 or 8. There's a ton of football left to be played. Whoever's in the playoffs right now with the seeding, it's all going to change. Teams are going to make trades at the deadline, which brings me to our next topic. So far, no moves have been made by Brandon Beane to upgrade this Bills roster as what we currently have. We're getting 2 defensive players back, Michael Heck and Okojobi, and then we are also getting Maxwell Hairston's 21-day practice window is open, which is a good sign for Bills fans. So those are some additions. People have talked about Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, other receivers. If you're a Bills reunion guy, I don't want this to happen. Ray McLeod just got released. Hopefully Beane doesn't pull the trigger on that. But you know how he is with old Bills players. So I get a little nervous.
Yeah, I have a lot of those thoughts as well with the way things are going down in Miami. Do they make some kind of moves and maybe, you know, get rid of Rasul Douglas, and McDermott's like, oh, I'm comfortable with him. Let's grab this guy. Let's grab another guy that we had 2 years ago. I want them to go in a different direction and look for some newer, fresher faces and not just go back to the old ways that they used to do it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I mean, with the NFL, they go to these guys because they're familiar with the system. If you've been playing in the National Football League for a long time, it doesn't take you too long to pick up a defense, to pick up what's going on. So yeah, the retread players, we've done it a lot. Let's get in some fresh faces. I would like to see an addition at wide receiver, and if there's help at safety, that could be huge too on the back end.
Yeah, I think the other thing too. You look at Rashid Shaheed aside from Olave too, but something that was talked about yesterday, and his name really wasn't brought up really today, was Tyler Lockett. I don't know if I'd want Tyler Lockett on the Bills, but
No.
he just got released. But
Yeah,
that's like
too
another
old.
Elijah Moore type of thing, a
I
little
know.
old. But it was something that was thrown out there a little bit as well
Yeah.
when you talk about Ray McLeod being released. But
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
he would just be another one of the non-separating receivers on our team, and you know.
right. I would rather have Beane make a trade instead of, like you guys have alluded to, don't bring back the guy just because they know the system. We
Yeah,
need to get
and-
away from that, and that's the biggest thing in my mind.
And guys, I don't know what you think about this, but I think the problems with this whole lack of separation is I'm going to put the onus on Joe Brady and the plays that we are calling, because Josh had a lot of these receivers last year. Our offense was humming on all cylinders outside of that 2-week lull. I think coming into this game off of the bye against Carolina, our offense is going to look much better, get back to that 28 point per game kind of stretch that we're used to. But I just think there's just a lot of poor play calling from Brady. I don't know if he's just trying to show vanilla plays to teams so they can't scout us properly. But if you want to get the 1 seed, every game's important. Like this game against Carolina is a must win if you want to get home field advantage in the playoffs. So I hope we start to kind of open up the offense, show a little bit more of the playbook, and please, please, please utilize James Cook.
Yeah, let James cook, as the kids say. Can't argue with what you just said, Connor. And, I think we also have to look at a couple addition by subtraction moves. Maybe Elijah Moore goes away if we find a replacement to bring in to take his spot. Did anybody hear the severity of Palmer's ankle injury?
Week to week.
Week to week. Okay, so that's not a definite that he's going to play this week, but hopefully we'll have him back in time for Kansas City. But if we can add another receiver, I am with you on the Tyler Lockett train. Way too old. We need to go younger, a little bit quicker, a little bit faster. I'm not exactly sure who else is out there. We talked about the guy from the Saints, but I believe at this point that's all just rumors and speculation. Who knows if the Saints even want to move him? This is a very frustrating and annoying part of NFL season for me. Same thing when the Major League Baseball trade deadline comes around. It's check in on season. I think that, a lot of the reporters will put a tweet or a post out there just to get engagement, to find out what the fans are saying. Not sure if a lot of these reports have much validity behind them. Once again, you throw the macaroni to the wall, hope it sticks, and you're not really sure what to believe. So if you want to keep score, this is a good time of year to keep score and see who puts a report out there and how much credibility it has. I'm a big fan of the Pat McAfee show. I get a lot of my NFL news from the sources on there, so I will be listening closely and seeing what Adam Schefter puts out there. Jordan Schultz is another one of my favorite guys over on the Craig Carton program. If you haven't listened to that show yet, check that out. In my opinion, Craig Carton, one of the greatest sports talk show hosts in the history of sports talk radio. Love listening to my man Craig. So I'm going to listen to the information that those gentlemen put out there and see what ends up being legit.
Okay, three things. First, does macaroni actually stick to a wall?
It does, if you have the right kind of wall.
Oh, okay. Number two, some other wide receivers that were talked about were Jacoby Myers from Las Vegas and also Calvin Ridley from Tennessee. And those are,
Ridley's interesting.
Yeah.
Ridley, but also Ridley's been hurt, and I know Jacoby Myers was hurt. He didn't play Sunday against the Chiefs. But those are two other factors to take into consideration as well. I don't think the injuries were serious, but I think that's something to monitor as well when you talk about that. And then third, the one thing I wanted to get in there too, we're talking about everything with the Bills, is that going into Joe Brady and play calling and everything else, and McDermott and all of that, coming off of the bye, what are they, 8-0? I believe in the last 8 years. Also, the Bills in weeks 4, 5, and 6 since 2020, their record's like 11-8. In week 7 and beyond, it's like 81-49, something like that, since 2020. So, I mean, there's some reason of optimism, understand the team is not the same, but just the coaching staff, I guess, in that regard is what I'm trying to get at, is that hopefully moving forward past the bye. Right. And you get Hoyt back, you get Ogunjobi back, right? And just if McDermott, just like he did with Leslie Frazier a couple of years ago, maybe he helps Babbage and starts calling the defense a little bit for a couple of games to get into rhythm, I guess.
Yeah.
But there's just some thoughts.
One thing I kind of was discouraged by is watching the Falcons, who just beat us, go to play the Niners, who had a lot of backups on defense, and that Niners defense held them to 10 points, shut down Drake London. Bijan got his touches and stuff, but I just look at this Bills defense, and I want to get your guys' opinion on this. We know Josh is the leader on offense. Who is that enforcer on the Bills defense? I mean, Milano's kind of reserved. You got guys like Poyer who are old. I mean, who's our tone setter on defense?
I think it's got to be Terrell Bernard, wouldn't it be?
It would be. Yeah, I think it's Terrell Bernard, but, I mean, he's hurt.
Yeah, I mean, you just think
day to day.
Like vintage defense as the Bills. I mean, McDermott, he's a defensive coach. He has that background. I just want to see our defense be more physical, be making plays. Bernard did have that big pick against the Dolphins to seal the win. But, yeah, I mean, is Bernard a captain this year?
He is. There's only 2 captains. It's him
It's
and
just Josh and Bernard.
Yeah, there's only 2 captains on the roster this year.
Yeah, and I was listening to another program the other day, and they were talking about the difference between the Bills defense now and the Bills defense 2 years ago. Is like there's no like anger, there's no aggression, there's no overall just like, let's kick the crap out of the guys on the other side of the ball. We're not seeing that. We're not seeing the aggressiveness that we had before, and maybe that is because of the lack of leadership. Is Bernard not ready to step up and be that guy? I mean, Ed Oliver dominant on the defensive line, but he's not an overwhelming figure. I don't know how he is in the locker room. I'm not in the locker room, so I can't speculate on that. But Rousseau kind of on the quieter side as well. So we are missing that Kyle Williams rah
exactly
type character on the defense. You could say.
That's a perfect example of somebody who had that persona and was a leader like that. Williams was an enforcer at D tackle. And I mean, we got guys like is Ed Oliver ready to take that position, take his game to the next level. But someone needs to become the MVP on the defense. We have one on offense. We have players around them. But defense helps you win championships, as we all know. And if the Bills are going to be a player in the playoffs and get to the Super Bowl like we all want them to, the defense for once in the playoffs is going to have to shut down a Mahomes. Or who knows? I mean, is Daniel Jones going to be on fire in the playoffs? Who knows how that whole story is going to go with the Colts?
Yeah, they're looking pretty scary.
Their offense is great, but I was watching some programs today. Is it sustainable? They're averaging 33 points a game. They have less than 5 turnovers on the year. Jonathan Taylor looks great, but this is kind of out of nowhere. So we'll see in the next 5 games if the Colts continue this play. They have to play the Chiefs. We'll see how they stack up against them.
Yeah, and obviously we know how dangerous Jonathan Taylor can be. What did he score 5 touchdowns that one game against us where they totally kicked us off the field?
Yep.
Yeah, like 44-14 the rain game a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So
one thing
I'm sorry, real quick. If you could choose it right now, Bills hosting the AFC Championship game against Kansas City or going on the road to Indianapolis for the AFC Championship game, what would you sign up for?
I would say the home game.
I would say the home game
no matter what.
against Kansas
Really?
City.
Yeah.
I'm probably taking Indianapolis on the road.
I mean, you can make an argument for either or because I mean, Kansas City's had her number in the playoffs, but also, I mean, you want to be home.
I don't like being in a
I
dome.
think we wouldn't have a problem beating Indianapolis in the playoffs.
I don't like being in a dome under those circumstances. It's too controlled, the way that their offense rolls, the way the crowd can impact the game. I don't like those chances, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, Bills fans travel well. We definitely have a good following, but that's looking way down into the future, so we'll get there when it comes. What were you saying?
Yeah, one thing I want to add to this too is when we start talking about speculation about this player getting moved and that player getting moved, you have to really think about the long-term impact of that. I mean, you got what's the quarterback's name down in New Orleans? Gunnar Watson, Shooter McGavin, whatever his name is. Spencer Rattler, that's that guy. So if you take away one of his top receivers, who's he going to throw the ball to? How's he going to develop? We're talking about the Jets maybe moving on or I've heard speculation of the Jets maybe moving on from 3 of their top players. So who's going to come in and replace those players? That's why I talk about being responsible when it comes to really consuming media, consuming journalism, and really seeing what the ulterior motive might be with the person that you're getting your news from. So when these names get thrown out there, I really have to give it a second thought and really have to really think about what would be the benefit of that team giving up that player and benefiting us, giving us that player. So, I really want people to be aware and be a little more alert and smart around this time of the year. Like I said, I get so frustrated. Connor, you're a Mets fan. Over the years, we've traded for every potential player before the deadline, and how many of those actually really shook out. So same frustration that I'm carrying over to this NFL trade deadline as well.
Yeah, what's so interesting about the trade deadline, and you see this in baseball to compare it to, when teams are sellers at the deadline, you think they're kind of chalking away the season, but then they get hot and start winning games. So like Chris Olave comes over to the Bills. We think the Saints are just tanking. They could get hot. I mean, there's still guys that are replacing them that are NFL caliber players that are hungry to make money, make a name for themselves. So I'm excited. The next 2 weeks, we got Carolina, Kansas City. Some think we're going to get blown out by Kansas City. I just have seen the way we've played them over the past 4 years. I know it's going to be a good game. I think everything's going to be fine in the next 2 weeks. I'm not going to go out and guarantee a Bills win, but I think we'll be definitely ready to go for Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm fully
Competitive.
expecting a win against Kansas City. I don't understand why. We're going to be back at home. The ship will be fine at that point in time. The defense will still be a little bit shaky, but I feel like on our home field, we can do enough to beat Kansas City, but we'll talk about that down the road. Let's talk about the game this coming Sunday. We're back to a 1 p.m. kickoff time. TJ and myself are going to be at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina, witnessing the sights and sounds. Connor, what are you projecting? We got the red rifle, the red rocket coming in to play quarterback. Is that going to be a benefit or is that going to be a disadvantage facing the legendary, and I use that term loosely, Andy Dalton?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think the Bills would much rather prefer to play Bryce Young. He's really not making too many strides in year 3 of being the number 1 overall pick. Andy Dalton does have a good record against McDermott. They have some pieces like McMillan, Chubba Hubbard, and I forgot the running back they got. Who's the
Rico
backup?
Dowdle.
Rico Dowdle from
Rico Dowdle.
Rico Dowdle. So he's also good. They have J.C. Horn on defense. They have a winning record, and everyone talks about the Bills so far this year. They haven't beaten good teams with good records. Say what you want about Carolina, they're 4-3. So let's get one of those wins taken care of against a team that'll be competitive against us. But this is McDermott off a bye, team he used to coach for. I think just like Atlanta, Bills fans are going to, just like you guys, you'll be one of thousands of Bills fans in that stadium. So I'm excited to see what this sound's going to be like when Carolina has the ball.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you, Connor. I think it's actually a benefit for the Bills because the O-line for the Panthers is actually one of the worst. And Dalton, to me, is not as mobile as Bryce Young anymore. So if they're able to get pressure on the quarterback, I don't think Dalton's more of a statue as compared to somebody like Bryce Young can get out of the pocket and extend plays. So I think that's one area where the Bills can actually benefit a little bit. Dalton's still good record, decent quarterback. I'm not downplaying that. But I think not having Bryce Young in the lineup gives the Bills a little bit of an advantage to be able to get after him and have, just loss.
Yeah, well, then this will be a great opportunity for the new players on the D-line to get some pressure on Dalton. That's going to be a key part of the game is what our defense does to set the tone. I mean, the first half, Atlanta blitzed us, so that was just ugly. So we need to come out and, hopefully win the toss, get the kickoff in the second half, come out, play defense, get a 3-and-out, get some momentum going.
So I think the other thing...
Hold on, TJ. It hurts my heart and soul that people are actually questioning that if we can actually win this game. Like we've gotten to that point where...
It's a joke.
Okay, yeah, we lost 2 games in a row. Now people are questioning whether or not we can go to Carolina and defeat Carolina. How bad has it gotten?
Yeah, I know. I actually have a friend who lives in Carolina. Asked him if he was going to the game. He's like, it's 2.5 hours away and the Panthers suck. And I'm like, yeah, I was trying to play devil's advocate, like they have a winning record, but they're not as good as their record. They're a frisky team. They can be competitive, but I fully expect the Bills to go out and win this game.
Well, right now, TJ and I are in a position where we're looking for tickets for Sunday's game. Right now, minimum, we're looking in the 500 level, around $300, and I sit in the 100 level, so I don't really want to take a step back and sit in the 500 level unless I'm on like the 40 or 50 yard line. So, this is going to be a hot ticket. We'll see how many Bills fans make the trip down there. I'm going to imagine there's going to be a lot of Bills fans down there, a lot of transplants down in the Charlotte area and around. I think it's going to be pretty wild and crazy, but I would like to see the price of these tickets go down just a little bit.
Yeah, the forecast too is I've been keeping an eye on that. It was supposed to rain, but now it looks like it's going to be dry for the game and the day on Sunday, which would be nice. But I think that may have something to do with it as well. But the one thing I just wanted to say real quick was that I think the other thing fans are forgetting, especially with the past couple of weeks, but especially after Monday night. Do you know who the defensive coordinator for the Falcons is?
Jeff Ulbrich.
Right. And who was the defensive coordinator for the past couple of years before he went to Atlanta?
The Jets.
Right. And what team did Josh always have issues with the past couple of years?
Yeah.
Especially so I think that's just a point that I think maybe not all people know. Bills did not play well. They need to get their act together. Don't get me wrong, but that was one thing. Jeff Ulbrich loves the blitz. His defenses have
Albright.
always given the Albright, whatever, AKG.
I like
whatever.
Albright. Let's use Albright.
Let's Albright. It's right behind me. So yeah. Anyways, but no, it's just one of those things where I don't think fans really understand or know that it's the same defensive coordinator that typically has given Josh issues the past couple of years,
But
multiple
still,
times in 1 year as well.
You would like to see Josh get past that. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. I'm not discrediting that either. Just
No, that's a great point, but I also think Jeff Ulbrich didn't stop the Bills on, 3rd and 1 where we ran the reverse to Elijah Moore. That was us stopping. That was us stopping ourselves. Run it up the QB sneak with Josh, give it to Cook, pick up a first down. That was being too cute.
right.
All right, we got about 4 minutes left in the program, so I think we all agree on Sunday's game. But I want to talk about this really quick. Article came out in a couple publications. I'm looking more specifically at the one from the Democrat and Chronicle in Rochester. The author of this story is Emily Barnes, and it talks a little bit about what you might be able to take from Highmark Stadium. Being an older gentleman, the oldest gentleman in the group, when the Bills got rid of the turf at the old Rich Stadium, you were able to buy keychains, paperweights, things like that for your desk. If you could take one thing, because we're running out of time, out of Highmark Stadium, what would it be? Connor, you first.
Yeah, I'm taking 200-level, 40-yard line seats out of that stadium and putting them down in a future home for a man cave.
TJ.
Oh God, I would probably take my seat as well. As boring as that sounds, I mean, it's just I've been seen tickets for 20 years, something like that, and I've sat in 2 different sections. But I used to be in the bleachers, now I got an actual seat, so I'd take the seat in my section.
I think I would take my seat, or I would take the numbers 8 and 9 from Steve Tasker up on the wall over there, on the Wall of Fame.
Wait, can we take things from the stadium at the second that the last play ends?
You can take. That's how the game works. Take whatever you want.
Give me one of the beer trucks that's stocked with pounders.
You
How much?
that's
why
not?
not?
Stadium. That doesn't.
Come
That's
on.
not how it works.
First off, they charge you $18 for a beer.
Can't do
I
it.
could sell that on the street. Oh my God! Profit, return on
You'd
investment.
have to talk to
Return on
Triad or Wright
investment.
Brothers. You have to talk to Triad or Wright Brothers. That's not Bill stuff. Yeah.
That's
TJ, how many Vizzies is Pasquale going to have down in Carolina?
Vizzies? No, he doesn't drink Vizzies.
What is he? High
Pasquale-
noons? He
he's
doesn't
a
drink
true
beer. I
gentleman.
can tell you that.
He does the Surfsides now.
Oh, he's a gentleman.
He goes with the gentleman drink, while I just go straight for the tequila.
I'll be searching for the high noons. I'm not a busy guy.
Are you guys peaceful Bills fans? Like you're just there having a good time, or do you like to talk some shit to other opponents?
I'm both.
A little bit of both. What about you, PJ?
Yeah.
It really depends on how people approach me. I'm not gonna initiate, but if somebody's getting a little mouthy, a little loud, maybe with a an oldie time Carolina Panthers jersey, I might say a couple things.
Nice. Looking forward to hearing your guys' experience. We're definitely going to talk about it next week as we recap the game against Carolina. Get ready for Kansas City. TJ, thanks so much for joining us. Loved having you on the show. Pasquale, it's always a pleasure. You can follow me at Connor Kobus17 on Instagram. We will be posting clips from the shows, sharing videos on YouTube and Facebook. I will pitch it to you, Pasquale.
Yeah, I just want to promote one more time Buffalo Championship Wrestling Sunday, November 23rd. It's called the Lumber City Rumble, 4 p.m. at the Renaissance Club in North Tonawanda. It's going to be a great afternoon of Buffalo Championship Wrestling action. We're also going to be accepting food donations for a local food pantry. You can find more information about that at all of our socials at BCWWNY. If you want to buy tickets for the event, go to bcw-wny.com. You see my Instagram handle down there, and if you want to add me as a friend on Facebook, just type in that exact name. Somebody else might have that name, but hey, that's the gamble you take with social media.
Absolutely. And TJ, anything you want to say? First time guest, any bold predictions for the Bills the rest of the year?
No, I think we'll be status quo. We'll make the playoffs. We'll be all right. We'll right the ship, as Pasquale said.
All right. Bills righting the ship this week, making the trip out to Carolina. Thanks for joining us. It's been another real episode of More Than Breaking Tables.
Go Bills. We'll see you next week.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.